Hi, and welcome to Tim and Joel's Weekly Draw, the show where Joel fills me in on what's coming up in the week in wrestling. Joel, what is coming up, and how much should I care?
Tim, do you remember your first birthday?
Not even a little bit.
Your 11th birthday?
Nope, gone.
21st birthday?
Definitely
I
drunk
can't
that
blame you.
away. Yeah,
I don't remember mine. What about your 31st birthday?
hasn't happened yet.
Really?
Yeah, I just turned 30.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Anyway, it's actually AW's first birthday.
Oh, yay, okay.
You remember them?
I do remember when AEW started, so yeah, good to know that it's survived this long.
Yeah. So it's AW's first birthday, and it's also SmackDown on Fox's first full year down. So it's their season premiere this week.
Less excited for that. Not as excited, no.
What about the WWE draft? Are you excited for that?
Yeah. I mean, they make some decisions, and I tolerate them. Some of them I agree with. So,
well, let's go over the draft board from night one. On Raw so far, we have WWE Champion Drew McIntyre. You have Raw Women's Champion Asuka. You have the Hurt Business, comprised of MVP Bobby Lashley, who is U.S. Champion, by the way, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander. We have AJ Styles moving from SmackDown to Raw. Naomi, who's also moving over to Raw. The the women's tag team champions, because the tag team champions for the women's are cross-brand. Anyway, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are on Raw. Ricochet's on Raw. Mandy Rose, Miz and Morrison's moving over from SmackDown to Raw. The SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, moving from SmackDown with those SmackDown Championships over to Raw. Noticeably absent is Big E. We'll get to that later. Dana Brooke, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, Drew Gulak, officially a Raw roster member, and Tucker.
Tucky!
Poor Otis is on his own now over on Team Blue. We'll go over the SmackDown roster when we get to SmackDown talk. But on Monday night, we're going to see a dual brand battle royal to determine the next Raw Women's Champion challenger for Asuka's Raw Women's Championship. Tim, who you got and why is it Lana?
It's not Lana. Why would it be Lana? Good thing going. Natalya, Lana, good thing. Don't screw that up. There's only one reason it's a dual brand challenge. And that's because it's going to be Carmella.
Mandy Rose.
No, Carmella.
Oh, yeah. No, that's much better of an idea.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, let's try that.
Big brain.
I mean, if Carmella does move over to Raw, and I get it's dual brand, if Mella moves to Raw, that's her first time on Raw since the draft started in 2016.
I think they're doing like a big package swapperoo, They took Bianca from Raw. They were running her packages. Carmella was running her packages on SmackDown. Now they're moving her over.
No, we're going to find out on Monday. Retribution, speaking of Mondays, they're going to have their new leader, Mustafa Ali, speak for the first time since outing himself as the leader of Retribution. Now, there are two ways that this can go. It can be a whole lot of code talk, or maybe Ali is going to finally fess up to being the hacker and tie some old storylines together and make WWE look smart. Tim, which way do you think it's going to go?
I mean, you got to know the writer's room is paying attention to what people are saying on the internet. They're going to take that low-hanging fruit, put it all together. And I think Mustafa Ali is going to give a good little speech and make me care about Retribution in a way that feels more interesting and less silly.
And they'll be patting themselves on the back the whole way through. And you know what? I'm okay with it. Tie up loose ends, make me care. That's all I ask. Speaking of making me care, there's a no disqualification match between Kevin Owens and Aleister Black. Now, one of these men, I assume, is going to wind up on SmackDown. If you had to choose one of them, Tim, who would it be?
I think I'd like to see Aleister Black with the talent that's over on SmackDown. I don't know that that's going to happen. I think KO is probably going to be the one who moves just so that they can put him back in with the Fiend, but we'll see.
I personally do think it's time for Aleister Black to see a little bit of change, go over to SmackDown. Also, earlier this week, it was kind of interesting, Aleister Black saying that he and Zelina Vega pairing together, as they are a real-life couple, he says that those two pairing together makes absolutely no sense and is against it. Tim, thoughts?
It makes no sense, and I'm against it. Like, their characters are very, very, very different. It's an interesting pairing, and I don't see a reason to put them together.
Well, you know who's going to be together? Seth Rollins and SmackDown. Yes, that's right. The Monday Night Messiah moves to Friday Night Messiah, and he will be bidding farewell to Raw this coming Monday. Tim, your thoughts on Monday Night Messiah, and will he thrive as Friday Night's Messiah?
Okay, so first off, they're going with SmackDown Savior, I think. I saw an official tweet that referenced that, which is terrible. Uh,
Really?
I yeah, really, SmackDown Savior, because you can't go without the alliteration. And the Monday Night Messiah had a lot of potential that, in my mind, was completely squandered with having a single disciple. Like you could have made him into a large faction, like it doesn't have to be cultish, but it's still like another cult like thing that they could have put together really, really well, and it was completely wasted. Like,
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, Seth Rollins, who had AOP, who had Austin Theory, who's now back in NXT, and yeah, Murphy, who we'll get in later with the WWE draft. Notable features from Monday's draft pool include Andrade, SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley, Aleister Black, who we mentioned earlier, will be facing Kevin Owens, who's also in the draft pool, Alexa Bliss, Daniel Bryan, Carmella, also mentioned for the number one contendership battle royal for the Raw Women's Championship. That's a mouthful. Dabba-Kato, who's been featured on Raw Underground, Charlotte Flair, Keith Lee, Randy Orton, who's going to be facing off against Drew McIntyre in Hell in a Cell in a few weeks for the WWE Championship. We have 24/7 champion R-Truth, who is a first ballot pick no matter where you go.
big get, big get.
Oh, yeah. Retribution featuring Mustafa Ali, T-Bar, Mace, Slapjack Reckoning, and listed is Retaliation. But there have been reports recently that Retaliation, who is portrayed by Mercedes Martinez, might be going back down to NXT to continue her role as Mercedes Martinez. So we'll find out very shortly who in Retribution is included in the draft. Matt Riddle is included in the draft. Sheamus, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Cesaro. The Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits. Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, and Intercontinental Champion and Talking Smack co-host Sami Zayn. Tim, did you watch Talking Smack this week?
I did catch a little bit of it for the very first time. Yep.
Sami Zayn being the absolute perfect guest host. And if I have my way, he will be the permanent co-host for Talking Smack with Caleb Braxton. And if he isn't, and if he's drafted to Team Red, I swear to God, I will quit wrestling and I will quit talking about wrestling.
Okay, all on the line, all on the line. Safe bet, I think. Pretty safe bet, given that the American or the U.S. title is on Raw. But yeah.
Yeah, time to move the Intercontinental Champion back to SmackDown. Well, 1 year ago, AEW Dynamite debuted, and here we are 1 year later, pomp, circumstance, and ratings. And it's time for the 1 year anniversary. A loaded card this Wednesday, including Best Man Miro and Kip Sabian teaming up to be in action. And again, I think they're going to be looking for retribution after their first time out. Didn't exactly go as planned. Hikaru Shida is going to put up her Women's World Championship against Big Swole. Tim, I assume that we're getting to Shida versus Dr. Britt Baker DMD at Full Gear. What do you think?
Yeah, like I'm excited to see the Big Swole Shida match just because I think it's going to be really good. But it does feel like ultimately we're heading towards Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida, so this feels like a really transitional match.
We're going to find out this Wednesday at AEW Dynamite in their 1 year anniversary show. Cody Rhodes is putting up TNT title against Orange Cassidy. Now, could Orange Cassidy, or even Cody Rhodes for that matter, be a transitional TNT champion, Tim?
I mean, it feels like with the role that Cassidy was on, they should be giving him a shot here. And I just don't know if Cody's going to be the type of guy to relinquish it that quickly, but we'll see. It does feel odd to me that they fed Orange to Brody, and now for his loss, he's being given a shot at the TNT title. I don't really get what they're doing there. I'd prefer if they give it to Orange and then maybe Brody and him run it back. But we'll just have to wait and see because I don't know if Cody's going to drop it that quickly.
Well, more importantly, what's going to happen if Orange Cassidy loses the match?
And that's the thing. Like they like crush whatever momentum he had going following, things like his appearance in the parking lot brawl and then the Mimosa Mayhem match. Like I don't know where they go with him. It kind of takes off the luster that he had all summer.
It's interesting. The summer of Orange Cassidy could turn into the fall of Orange Cassidy. Moving on, FTR is going to defend their World Tag Team Championships against Best Friends. And we're getting closer to the Young Bucks versus FTR. So how will the Young Bucks get involved, Tim?
I think it's going to be like a clean finish. It's going to be like a really strong match, Best Friends versus FTR. A couple of different styles in this that I think are going to be really entertaining. I see the Young Bucks featuring in like a call out thing after the fact, another segment where they assault some random passerby.
Just waiting for them
Yeah.
to take out Excalibur.
Yeah, gonna happen.
Well, what else is going to happen is Jon Moxley in the big match. He'll be defending his AEW world title against Lance Archer. Now, this is not the first time that these two have met. This is actually a continuation of their New Japan Pro Wrestling match from Tokyo Dome back in January. It was a Texas death match for the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship, and Moxley came out victorious. So here we are again. Is there a chance that Moxley gives up his AEW World Championship?
A chance, yeah. Like I don't see Archer being the guy who goes over Moxley finally, but I'm curious to see where they're going to take it. I think Moxley's going to ultimately defend. It's going to be a pretty physical match, obviously.
Absolutely. And the question is going to be, who is going to face either man for that world championship after Full Gear? Because we have a number one contendership 8-man tournament that's currently about to get underway. The finals of that will be at Full Gear to determine a number one contender for the world title at AEW. 6 men announced so far, and 2 names are left. We have Jungle Boy, Phoenix. We have Kenny Omega, Wardlow, Colt Cabana, and Adam Page. We have, like I said, 2 names left. Maybe Eddie Kingston is one of them. Tim, you have another one?
I mean, if Orange loses, maybe this is what they plan to do with him. Just throw him into the mix with this. It feels kind of like a disservice to him. I don't know. They use Joey Janela periodically. Maybe they'll throw him in there too.
What about Penta El Cero M?
Could be. It feels like a Kingston Boys heavy crew or heavy side, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie Kingston at one point is going to get his rematch against Jon Moxley.
100%.
So it could be after Full Gear, or who knows, maybe it's before Full Gear. Fully expecting Kenny Omega and Adam Page to face off at one point, and if they don't, then we got a long-term story time coming.
Yeah, I kind of expect them to be in the finals and for Kenny to go over, because now that I think about it, like that could be the one who faces Archer Moxley next if they keep building Kenny.
We are a year removed from Dynamite debuting, and just a little over a year from AEW as a whole debuting. So we started off AEW a year ago with the Elite not wanting to put themselves over. By now, they've almost all turned. Adam Page has left the Elite, and they're all after world championships. Do you think there's a chance that 1 year later, the Elite is going to actually take all the titles in AEW and preside over the company?
Yeah, I think so. I think that could be where this is heading, where the Young Bucks beat FTR down the road. And then you have a story that shows that their badness is what it took to get them there.
I'm into it. We're going to find out soon enough with AEW and Dynamite this Wednesday. On the other side of things, on USA is going to be NXT, where no matches have been announced.
Just thrown in the towel.
I wouldn't go that far. I just think they've been thrown into confusion considering the Ridge Holland injury, the Ben Balor injury, the Velveteen Dream being still around. So instead, I guess we're going to get a quick, maybe hotshot explanation as to who shot Adam Cole. Adam Cole, of course, was taken out at the end of NXT TakeOver 31 by Ridge Holland, who is now injured. Holland coming out on Wednesday and saying that, he was paid for the job. First of all, Tim, who do you think paid Ridge Holland?
I don't know. It's a shame he can't drive his Mercedes now since his right foot can't press that accelerator. But I'm not sure. Like there's a few different ways they could take this. It's a good thing they built this in the way they did, though. It saved them, like, kind of ultimately in the end.
There are 2 ways you can go.
Okay.
There are 2 ways you can go with this. I mean, there are more than 2, but in my eyes, you can do the split of the Undisputed Era. Have Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong have paid off Ridge Holland for the job, and the big reveal is going to happen sooner than later. Or we can let this thing play out a little bit longer, and maybe the person who took out Adam Cole is Adam Cole's biggest nemesis over the last few months, but really few years. And that's the man who is for the brand. Tim, could Pat McAfee be the man behind Adam Cole's beat up?
I mean, that seems so extreme. Like, where are they gonna take that, right? Like, you're gonna do another regular match, or you're gonna throw Pat McAfee into something a little bit more hazardous?
Pat McAfee leads the Undisputed Era.
Yeah, sure, fine. You know what?
And is the leader of Retribution.
Oh no! See, we've already done that. That's done.
Right.
It's over. No more.
Yeah, you're right. I guess that's over. I can't do that anymore. Well, you know who can do stuff, and that's Damian Priest. He's going to defend his North American Championship. He says taking on all comers. So the question is going to be, who's next in line for Priest, and how are we going to get there?
I don't know. Like, let's just do 100 ladder matches, and whoever comes out on top is the one who wins.
Down.
In all seriousness, probably Bronson Reed. He's still got that pinfall over him. So
imagine the big boy versus the thick boy. Is it going to be a good match? Absolutely. Speaking of good matches, Killian Dane and Drake Maverick, they're going to keep on winning, aren't they?
They're definitely going to keep on winning. The matches will be fine. I don't know that they're going to be great matches. But the narrative itself, I find very enjoyable. You know, Killian Dane just disliking Drake Maverick over and over again. Like, they're going to come out. They're going to be angry at each other. He's going to slug him at the end of every match, but they're going to keep winning. So I think that's a really funny angle.
Now, here's the thing. They're going to keep winning. They're going to become best friends. The other best friends, and they're going to take the titles from Breezango because tag team wrestling in WWE means nothing.
No, well, I mean, yes, in WWE, yes, but like, I don't think this is harmful to the tag team division. Like, Breezango are good. You leave them alone. And I think Dane and Drake would make a good team. They can call themselves D&D, which will, you know, stick a little knife into the ribs of Killian Dane a little bit more.
That stuck it to me.
Yeah, it's good.
Now, here's the thing. We're going to go over who's on SmackDown after the draft, and we'll revisit that question about tag teams real shortly. And finally, what's next for Ember Moon after making her return to NXT this past Wednesday? She won her first match back. And Tim, where do you see her in the next 3 months?
Title shot right away. Like, she's going, yeah, they're going to throw her at EO almost immediately. Makes sense to me. It'll be.
And where do you see Rhea Ripley?
Back down to Raquel. Like, they're both going to play their story out properly.
That's going to be one hell of a match too. Those women are bigger than the average woman at NXT. So you got to have a big blow off for those two. Maybe a cage, maybe not. Something. I
feel like really they've done that with Rhea, but yeah, like something else.
Put them in a no holds barred weapons match. Really make the Capitol Wrestling Center into this like hellhole of dank weaponry and stuff.
They do have the chain link, so.
That's right. Well, that's what we're expecting, or at least what we're talking about for NXT on Wednesday. Again, no matches announced yet, so we'll see soon enough. Meanwhile, 2 nights later is WWE SmackDown on Fox, and they have matches announced already. Before we do that, let's quickly go down the draft list. These are the people who were drafted to SmackDown as of Friday night. They include Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion. You've got Seth Rollins making his first appearance on SmackDown officially in a long time. Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair moves over from Raw to SmackDown. Jey Uso remains. Rey and Dominic move over with the Monday Night Messiah. Big E, unfortunately, stays to SmackDown while his brethren from New Day move over to Raw. Otis and Tucker break up because Otis is on SmackDown. Kalisto was drafted on his own. Who knows where the rest of Lucha House Party will land. And the disciple, Murphy, because the entire Mysterio and Rollins theme has to move over to SmackDown.
Yeah, they felt the need that, you know, Raw was so bad, they had to take one of the bad storylines and put it on SmackDown just so it's all spread out. Can't have a good show. You can't.
No. Just a 2-hour show now plagued with SmackDown saviors and Louis Vuitton. I
mean, there's one silver lining. They've been spreading that storyline out throughout the entirety of the 3 hours of Raw. They won't be given that much time on SmackDown, thankfully. Well,
note the lack of tag teams on SmackDown right now. We'll find out on Monday whether or not the tag team division becomes exclusive to Raw or if random people are going to start teaming up because there was no foresight put into this draft. Speaking of foresight, there's 2 matches announced for SmackDown this Friday, including Universal Champion Roman Reigns taking on Braun Strowman in a match that I don't think anyone expected to be going on because, first of all, Braun Strowman's on Raw for all intents and purposes, and he has no claim to the championship.
Yeah, it just feels like mean to Braun to do this. Like, he's gonna lose to Roman. He just had and dropped the title. Like, you don't need to kick him while he's down. Like, you could have done this with anyone. I don't understand why they're doing this.
I think it's fair to assume that you'll have the match, Braun will lose, and then get drafted to Raw.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, already drafted to Raw, 2 members of the New Day. So Woods and Kofi Kingston are going to say their farewell to SmackDown, taking on Sheamus, Cesaro, and Nakamura. Obviously, Big E will be in the match as well as he stays on SmackDown. Tim, New Day's farewell. Who do you think is going to win?
I see the New Day going over. It'll be, they'll be victorious, and then they'll spend some time in the ring cutting a promo. A lot of hugging, a lot of almost tears.
Maybe a lot of Lars Sullivan.
Probably not.
A whole lot of Lars.
A whole lot of Lars. Maybe that's just what SmackDown is now.
The land of Lars opportunity.
Oh no.
Oh, God. Well, if you want to hear people talk about wrestling way better than we will, 30 minutes before SmackDown on Fox, you can catch Renee Paquette, formerly Renee Young, and Booker T inside the WWE Thunderdome. They'll be doing the SmackDown on Fox pre-show 30 minutes before SmackDown goes live on Friday. So that's going to be really, really fun. That is the SmackDown season premiere. And Tim, we did it. Another weekly draw in the books.
Woo!
You can find us at timandjoelpod.com. We are now on twitch.tv/timandjoelpod. We're always on YouTube. And of course, Tim, where can the kids find you?
They can find me at Tim Stone P. So TIMB, the word stone, and then a big ol' giant capital P. Just the single letter.
Just a big P?
Just a big P.
All right. You can find me over at Joel Pearl. That's me over there. And you can find us again at Tim and Joel Pod on Thursday nights, 8 p.m. And soon we'll be streaming some gaming. So keep an eye out. For now, enjoy your wrestling, everybody. Have a great week.